Sandwich Original Chicken Sandwich, the Big Fish, or Yumbo Ham and Cheese for only $9. Need a snacky with your Sammy? Grab a sneaky snacky. All items under $3, including the new Chicken Junior. Grab 2 for $9 in sneaky snackies all week long. Open late weekends at 7 Mile Beach in Red Bay till midnight on Thursdays and 1 a.m. Fridays and Saturdays. Full menu at BurgerKing.ky.
For the Record, proudly brought to you by
Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury, and JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctor's Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice.
We ask our listeners and viewers to avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
Live from Radio Cayman Studio.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you.
For the Record.
Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
With Orrett Connor.
Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is For the Record.
For the Record. 1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees so fair. Today is Friday, the 20th day of September 2024, right here in the beautiful Cayman Islands. We do hope and trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. Those of you who are on our roads, we urge you to please be extremely cautious. Ensure you observe the rules of the road. Remember, the life you save may just be your own. For those of you celebrating a birthday today, I want to wish you a happy birthday, or if you've celebrated one over the past few days, a belated happy birthday to you as well. And to remind you that the For the Record birthday shout-outs brought to you by Coca-Cola, who are proud to support your birthday shout-outs. Coca-Cola available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga wholesalers. You should accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Those of you who have lost loved ones, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times, and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing. Those of you who are ill and are either at home or at a medical facility here in the Cayman Islands or overseas, we want to wish you a speedy recovery as well. So first of all, we're going to look at the birthdays. Tomorrow, I only have for tomorrow and the day after, Aldine Evans celebrating her birthday tomorrow, the 21st. Iselin Dilbert also celebrating a birthday tomorrow. Sandra Castillo celebrating a birthday tomorrow. Myron Bruce also celebrating a birthday tomorrow. And on Sunday, we have Waltero Ebanks celebrating a birthday, as well as Tiffany Ann Rankin also celebrating a birthday tomorrow. Andrea Ebanks also celebrating a birthday tomorrow. If you know someone who's celebrating a birthday today, please share that information with us. There's going to be a little abbreviation in terms of my opening remarks this morning, because we have a unique show this morning, and we want to get right into the meat of things. So first of all, those of you may have seen on social media as well as on Radio Cayman, that the Deputy Governor, the Honorable Franz Manderson, and also the head of the Civil Service would be on the show this morning. In this first segment, he's also accompanied by the Minister for Tourism and Ports, the Honorable Kenneth Bryan. They will be talking about why ministers should not be involved in public service staffing matters. Just to put it locally, why ministers should not be involved in hiring government workers. And then we will have other segments of the show with the Deputy Governor as well. This is a discussion that is not in any way meant to be adversarial, but to be informative, to give you the public information, those of you who have certain expectations, to bring those expectations into a realistic context in terms of what can and what cannot be done as well. So let your friends, family members know if they want to know about what's happening in the civil service. Tune into For the Record this morning at some point in time, and I'll let you know when the phone lines may be open to take calls. But meanwhile, if you have questions or comments, please send them to our WhatsApp number, 925-3261. We do have an email address as well, and I have been neglecting that because of some technical issues. We're getting that sorted out. But meanwhile, just send your questions, comments to 925-3261. We will alert you as to when the phone lines are open. So with that, I want to say good morning to the Honorable Franz Manderson, Deputy Governor and head of the Civil Service.
Good morning, Mr. Conan. Good morning, people of the Cayman Islands.
And no stranger to Radio Cayman, and now has his own little segment, radio talk show as well. Honorable Kenneth Bryan, Minister responsible for Tourism and Ports. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, OC, and good morning to our wonderful listeners of the Cayman Islands. I know you went to a birthday shout-out, so I want to take this opportunity to say happy special birthday to Miss Shanice Zayas, who is one of my constituents and my committee members. I love you. Happy birthday, darling.
Okay, so we're going to start off with the DG.
Yes.
And we'll talk about the Constitution, what the Constitution says in relation to the public service. And those of you who have an interest, if you have your Constitution on hand, you may want to look at Section 109 of the Cayman Islands Constitution Order 2009. Deputy Governor.
109 or Section 50, 55, 1E.
Yes. Okay.
Section 34, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Right.
Yes.
So, OC, first off, I want to say thank you to the Honorable Deputy Governor for allowing me on. Like you said, OC, this is a very unique show this morning because we know there's a separation of powers from the elected arm and the governor's responsibilities, which are delegated to the Honorable Deputy Governor. The request this morning is on the basis of some key issues that are happening in our community where persons are concerned about the makeup of our civil service and some hiring practices, if I dare say, and then the expectation of persons in the elected arm, what they can and cannot do. I am honored to represent the people of the Cayman Islands, and all elected members, I think, would say the same. What we do get on a very regular basis is the want and the need for elected arm to help persons get jobs in the civil service. I mean, almost every day I get a call or a request from somebody to say, can you get me a job or NRA or within your ministry or what have you. And many times I have to explain why I can't help them get a job. And that's the worst thing any representative want to say to a Caymanian is, I can't get you the most important thing in life, which is an opportunity to survive and live and feed your family. So the question is, there is a real expectation out there when you elect somebody to be able to help better your life, and the best way to do that is to get them a job or help them get up in the ranks of life or a better opportunity, because a lot of people are underemployed as well. So no matter what I say or any other elected member say, it always seems as an excuse as to, well, I can't get you work. And the perception of what used to be back in the day when, and I don't want to use names because I'm not suggesting they did it, but I can recall as a child back in the day when Jim Borden, Truman Borden was in, there was this perception that, just call your elected member and they'll get you a job in the department. And I know that back then they would call their permanent secretary and next thing you hear that the person that you called, you had a job at a various department. Now, there is a lot of that expectation still today. And unfortunately, the appetite today is totally different than what it was back then. And Cayman has grown a whole lot. To be honest with you, I wish I did have the power to hire Caymanians in the civil service, because I can promise you this: if it was up to me, every single person in Georgetown Central would have a job today. But I understand the risk associated with the elected arm getting involved in the hiring. But then there's an accountability component, which is, people have concerns, say, for example, the makeup of the police service being heavily influenced by outside nationalities other than our own. The same with the education department. We ask questions about why there are not so many Caymanian teachers. So in order for accountability to be held, I think it's important that we understand the roles and separation of responsibilities. And I hope that that's what my first part of the show before I exit and allow the DG to go on with his other responsibilities for the civil service that we talk about. And that's why we mentioned in the early part of the show, Section 34 and Section 55, 1D. So in the Constitution, Section 34 speaks about the office of the Deputy Governor. And I think the specific part that you might want to focus on is Section 34.1, which says, under this authority, the Deputy Governor shall be the head of the civil service. Now, the head of the civil service will be appointed by the governor herself. But if we go into Section 55, just for context of our conversation, and when we go further in depth to what we are talking about, Section 55 says, under the special responsibilities of the governor shall be responsible for the conduct subject to this Constitution and any other law of any business of the government with respect to the following matters. And the one that we're talking about specifically today is D, which talks about the appointment, including the appointment or promotion or transfer, appointment on contract, and appointment to act in an office of any person to the public office, which is civil service. That's the equivalent to civil service. The suspension, termination of employment, dismissal, or retirement of any public officer, or the taking of disciplinary action in respect to such an officer, the application to any public officer of terms and conditions of their employment, basically hiring them of a public service, including their salary scales, their allowances, their leaves, their passages, and their pensions, for which financial provisions have been made, and the organization of the public service to the extent that it does not involve any new provisions. So ultimately, that's legal jargon for saying that the deputy governor, by appointment of the governor, has sole responsibility for HR-related matters. So if I was to get involved with an HR person and say, listen, get this job for John Macfield for me, please, it would be against the constitutional separation of powers. And I can be called up to say, as per our code of conducts that we've just implemented, even before the code of conducts, that I'll be stepping outside of my constitutional responsibilities. So when you think about all that in context, and then the public talks about, well, why is it that Caymanians not getting jobs in the service? We have young Caymanians going away to school, getting a scholarship, coming back and can't get a job. Now, obviously in the labor market, we have the private sector, and then we have the civil service. The civil service is the number one hiring organization in the whole country. And there's an expectation that, when I go off and get skilled, the one place I'm going to go to is the civil service. So most times we, the elected arm, the premier, the cabinet ministers, the backbenchers, the opposition, why Caymanians not getting jobs? And that question we can't answer. So that's what we're here to today. And I think that opens up the door, because I must say that I personally have major concerns about some things that I've seen, particularly with Caymanians in the schools, and particularly with the police service. So I know that we probably got to go to a break, but we can talk more about it when we get back.
Definitely. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. Don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. A conversation with the Honourable Franz Manderson, Deputy Governor and Head of the Civil Service, and the Honourable Kenneth Bryan, Minister with responsibility for Tourism and Ports, will continue shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series. Brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Along with emancipation, the 1830s brought forth two other key institutions to the Cayman Islands, churches and schools. The first clergyman in the Cayman Islands was Reverend Thomas Sharp, who arrived in December 1831, coincidentally the same month as the new legislature convened. The arrival of Reverend Sharp was in response to the desire by Caymanians for a resident minister and was part of the expansion of the Church of England following the appointment of Jamaica's first bishop, Christopher Lipscomb, in 1824. Reverend Sharp held his first service on Christmas Day, 1831. Although he made good progress, relations were not always great, and Bishop Lipscomb would later learn that the assembly had not been forthcoming towards the stipend to which they had previously promised. Reverend Sharp would resign in 1834 to take up a new position at a church in Westmoreland, Jamaica, and was replaced by Reverend David Wilson in 1836.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Tortuga's annual Drinks Festival is back from the 9th to the 13th of October for an incredible week of events, including its signature evening experience at the Westin on Saturday the 12th of October. Tickets are on sale now at tortuga.ky.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
The sale you've been waiting for is here. Brand Source Home Gallery's custom closet and kitchen cabinet sale is now through September 30th. Save 20% on closets, pantries, Murphy beds, wall units, media centers, and that long overdue kitchen cabinet makeover. Our designers will create your dream closet or kitchen. Choose from our in-stock selection or special order and have installed before December. Shop now and save 20% with Brand Source Home Gallery's custom closet and kitchen cabinet sale. Hurry, sale ends September 30th. Visit us at 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, or call 623-5000.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean. providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
This is For the Record.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning the Honorable Franz Manderson, Deputy Governor, and also the head of the Civil Service, and the Honorable Kenneth Bryan, Minister with responsibility for tourism and ports. So we're discussing the whole issue, the question as to why ministers should not be involved in public service staffing matters, in particular hiring, firing, as well.
Yes.
But why this should not be the case. And just to remind persons, you heard Minister Bryan refer to Section 55 of the Constitution, Cayman Islands Constitution Order 2009. When we look at our 1972 Constitution, basically, and we compare Section 109 of our Constitution with the 1972 provisions, there really says basically the same thing in terms of the governor's responsibility and everything. What our future amendments in our new Constitution did was give the ability for the governor to delegate that then to the deputy governor, as well.
And good morning again, everyone. And Minister Bryan, thank you for setting the stage as to where we are. So very important point. So some of the key issues I think we should be aware of is that the civil service is charged. Under our code of conduct, we are to be politically neutral. In other words, we should behave in a way that when there is a change in government, the new people coming in feel very comfortable working with us, and to be very clear that we are going to work with them to deliver on their promises.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take, for example, what Minister Bryan said, and said, listen, if I had the authority, I will employ my constituents. And that is a real issue. But I was saying to Mr. Bryan in the break, Mr. Bryan came in as a new minister. He took over the Ministry of Tourism. In that ministry, there were staff who had been working with the previous government for 8 years. Minister Bryan came in, and he never said to us, DG, I would like you to move all these people out and put all of my people in. He said, I am going to work with the team that is there. And today, I was so proud when he opened the Scranton Community Park. Mm-hmm. He got up and said, thanks to my team for delivering this to me. Thanks to my chief officer. Thanks to my team. Now, the reason why I could say to Minister Bryan, you can go into your ministry, and I can assure you the team there will work as hard for you as they did for the previous minister, is because everyone in that ministry was hired through a process, a recruitment process that was done by a member of the civil service. No one in that ministry was appointed by a minister. So if, for example, ministers had appointed everyone in that ministry, Minister Bryan would come in and say, DG, every one of these people were appointed by the former minister. I would like to get my people in now, and so that they can serve me.
Mm-hmm.
But then what do I do with the 15 people that the previous minister had in there? They're on open-ended contracts. So you can see the some of the nuances that is out there in terms of having continuity of government, mm-hmm. and continuity of services.
Yeah, and if I could interrupt there, DG, mm-hmm. in relation to that, if the civil service was such that with every change of administration, the civil service could possibly change, meaning permanent secretaries, deputies, even a clerical officer could be removed because the new minister coming in wants to bring his own people. Then look at the instability in terms of you actually then would force the civil service to be political.
Exactly. And that is not right. And just to say, I mean, what we're talking about here is not new. This is something that has been around for a long time. It's how the UK civil service works. It's how other modern civil service works. I think the US is a little different. You see a lot more changes when there is change in government. But having a politically neutral civil service where we can say that everyone that is employed in the civil service went through a process, they were the best persons for the job, because the public is demanding great services from us. So we want to make sure that we are providing them with the best talent and the best persons that will serve them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's a fair statement, because just the changing out would create a lot of instability and a lot of revenue concerns, costings from constantly changing people. There's benefits to that, but there's negatives, as you highlighted.
Sure.
But granted, that's one thing, because if we were to change them out, I think there would be a little bit more loyalty to get the government's policy done. But I'm not even suggesting that we change it. That's not what we're talking about today. But it's about, okay, if we don't, the elected arm is not have the power and should not have the power to hire and fire persons within the service, then who's going to take the accountability then? Because we are the ones, the politicians, will take the responsibility for the fact that the civil service is made up of 4,678 people. Mm-hmm. And of that, only 68% is Caymanian. That means there are 1,303 persons who are not Caymanian in the service. Mm-hmm. So when a young Caymanian goes off to university, gets skilled up, and come back home and say, at least I will always be welcome in my own home.
Yes.
And then they can't get a job in the service, then they look to their elected arm.
Right.
So the fact is, it's actually under your purview, your office's purview, that these 1,300 jobs are not filled by Caymanians, but they expect the elected arm to do so, and rightfully so. I want to be their voice, and hence the reason why we are here this morning, because I have to, and the elected arm and who else wants to come into government will be faced with the same thing, where why is it that our service has 28% non-Caymanian, and what are we doing to ensure that a young Caymanian who went off to school to be a teacher, came back home, applied to be a teacher, and didn't get a job?
Yep.
That's the question.
Yeah. And we will be discussing those issues as soon as we return from the 8 o'clock news, folks. Top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. Don't change that dial. Please stay tuned for the record with Deputy Governor and Head of the Civil Service, Honourable Franz Manderson, and Minister with responsibility for tourism and ports, the Honourable Kenneth Bryan, will continue after the 8 o'clock news.
Radio Cayman time check now, 8:01. This time check brought to you by our friends at Foster's.
West Bay, are you ready?
The new look Foster's Republics is now open.
With a spacious new deli, a cheese lover's fromagerie, a hot new bakery, a coffee and juice bar, and the ultimate made-to-order breakfast, burgers, pizza, sandwiches, and Asian stations.
Our fresh produce and meat selections have grown and are serving only the best.
And you're going to want to stop and smell the roses in our gorgeous new floral department, where something blooms every day. Discover the new Foster's Republics in West Bay. Bigger and better because we care.
Information, entertainment, inspiration.
Covering Grand Cayman, Little Cayman, Cayman Brac.
Since 1976 till now.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Island.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. Parliament's holding its first meeting of the new 2024-25 session next month. Here's Radio Cayman's April Cummings.
The first meeting is scheduled for 10 a.m. on Monday, the 7th of October, and the items of business include Government Motion Number 1, a A referendum on cruise berthing infrastructure, expected to be moved in the House by the Minister of Tourism and Ports, the Honourable Kenneth Bryan. Members do have until 5 p.m. on Monday, the 30th of September, to submit any additional motions to the clerk. We're also expecting MPs to consider the Information and Communications Technology Validation Bill 2024 and a number of annual reports detailing activities and expenditures of government ministries, departments, statutory authorities, and other entities. Any new bills would be considered in the following meeting because the consultation period for bills is now 28 days. April Cummings, Radio Cayman News.
Proceedings will be carried live on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, with nightly replays right here on Radio Cayman. In other news, music at the library is traveling to Cayman Brac today after wowing a full house at the Georgetown Public Library Thursday night. Pianist and CAF co-founder Glenn Inenga was joined by local cello star Dequan Smith before he heads to conservatory back in Scotland tomorrow. Thanks to the recent installation of a baby grand piano at Lehman E. Scott Senior High School, the Cayman Arts Festival is taking the show to students, teachers, and the general public this afternoon.
The more exposure that our children have and the more opportunities that can be afforded to them, like things like this. I was a product of the Cayman Arts Festival, so it really means a lot to be able to do this type of stuff and like to see that I can actually do this more long term.
In addition to hearing sonatas from Beethoven and Richard Strauss, they'll be treated to a poetry reading by Leonard Dilbert in the Brac. And if you missed these performances, never fear, Four Hands is coming back to Cayman as well next week, Thursday, showcasing pianist Glenn Inenga and Hannah Shin. It's taking place at the Georgetown Library at 6 p.m. and tickets are available at eventbrite.com. And keeping the focus on mental health is at the heart of a Kelly Holding Infinite Mind Care Symposium scheduled for next month.
We hosted our first World Mental Health Day Symposium last year. It was a real great success. It's a partnership between Kelly Holding and Infinite Mind Care. And it's just a half day where every hour there's a different topic being presented and there's 4 different things happening at the same time. So you can choose which ones you want to go to.
Rhonda Kelly tells Radio Cayman the symposium will be held at Kamada Bay Cinema from 9 until 2 on October 10th, which is World Mental Health Day.
Topics ranging from managing anxiety in the workplace, global burnout, from hate to love, transforming your body image, a bunch of different things that I think everyone will be able to relate to several of them, for people to come and just feel comfortable talking about their mental health and receive useful, practical information.
The theme is prioritizing our mental health. Find out more by heading to kellyholding.com. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which takes us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller.
BBC News, I'm John Shea. The Lebanese economy minister says the situation in his country is escalating by the hour and is threatening to spiral out of control. It follows days of explosions and Israeli airstrikes. Meanwhile, a senior member of Lebanon's Hezbollah movement is reported to have been killed in a strike near Damascus airport in Syria. Israel's military has launched an investigation after soldiers were filmed shoving apparently lifeless bodies from a rooftop during a raid in the occupied West Bank. It said the incident was not in line with its values. Shares in Mercedes-Benz have fallen sharply after it became the latest German car manufacturer to lower its outlook because of weaker-than-expected sales in China. The company says it expects its operating profits to be significantly below the previous year's level. The European Union is to loan Ukraine nearly $40 billion for energy, air defences and weapons. The announcement was made during a visit to Kiev by the EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen. Taiwan's constitutional court has upheld the legality of the death penalty but has limited its use. The court said it could be handed down only for the most serious crimes such as murder. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin are the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the people's station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way, positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Good morning, Cayman. Let's take a look at your weather update on this Friday, September 20th. Present temperature 84 degrees Fahrenheit. It's partly cloudy, lots of cloud cover, but it feels like about 94 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds are out of the east at 8 miles per hour. Relative humidity 81%. The barometric pressure is at 29.80 inches and dropping. Last night's low temperature 84. Synopsis: localized showers are possible today as the winds become light and seas smooth as a slack pressure gradient is present across the Northwest Caribbean. And the National Hurricane Center has marked an area over the Northwest Caribbean with a 40% chance of cyclone formation over the next 7 days. The Cayman Islands National Weather Service will continue to monitor the development of this system. Our forecast for today calls for mainly fair skies with partly cloudy spells with a 30% chance of the afternoon shower. Temperatures will rise to the low to mid-90s with a heat index near 108. Winds will be light and variable. Seas will be smooth with wave heights less than 2 feet. Later on this evening, mainly fair skies with a 20% chance of showers. Temperatures will fall to the low 80s. Winds will be east to northeast at 5 to 10 knots, becoming easterly at 5 knots or less overnight. Seas will be smooth with wave heights of less than 2 feet. High tide is coming up at 11:10 this morning. It's going to be low at 5:02 this afternoon and high at 10:44 tonight. The outlook is for similar weather conditions through Sunday morning. And increased chances of showers along with slight to moderate southeasterly winds and seas are expected from Sunday afternoon as a broad area of low pressure is expected to develop over the Western Caribbean Sea. And that, my friends, is the latest weather update brought to you by our friends at CG Britcay.
We were set to battle, and your Aunt Angie was leading the pack when...
Aunt Angie, what does this have to do with car damage?
Oh, right. Well, long story long. I took down the assassins and wound up inventing a new form of mixed martial arts. I became an international champion until one sore loser karate kicked my car. But I was covered with CG.
Covered for malicious damage and more. CG Britcay. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
Attention gamers! The Caribbean's largest esports tournament and gaming convention is back! Gamers Bay 8, hitting the Cayman Islands this September 28th and 29th. Get ready to battle it out in FC24, NBA 2K24, Fortnite, and more for a chance to win your share of $10,000 in cash and prizes. Plus, enjoy free play on everything from classic games to the latest hits. Dive into VR and rev up in our sim racing zones. But that's not all. Meet your favorite gaming influencers, including Beck Brojack, Anything Alexia, and Overflow. Don't miss out. Visit gamersbayevent.com now for tickets and all the details. Sponsored by NetGeeks Media, the Ministries of Investment, Tourism, Border Control, Youth and Sports, Sustainability, Cayman Finance, and Radio Cayman. Level up at Gamers Bay 8, where the Caribbean comes to play.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Yeah, once again, good Friday morning, Cayman. Looking forward to the weekend. How's the traffic this morning? Looking at the east-west arterial, traffic is flowing smoothly till getting to the Red Bay roundabout. Of course, still will run into some slow-moving traffic, similar along the CUC roundabout, heading on to the Lidford Pearson and Crew Road, and that traffic will be crawling still as you make your way slowly into the Georgetown area. Similar with traffic going through South Sound, those continuing through South Church Street onto Seafarers Way, slow-moving traffic, as well as on Walker's Road. Looking out at West Bay Road from the Ritz-Carlton, traffic seems to be flowing smoothly in both directions. And turning the attention of the cameras on Crew Road moving slowly, as well as on Bobby Thompson Way, focusing the traffic on to the Butterfield roundabout, where we do expect the usual heavy traffic this morning time. Traffic coming off Bobby Thompson Way to the Helder Avenues, moving slowly but surely, getting to the CNB roundabout and continuing on. Of course, at the Butterfield roundabout, we expect the usual traffic, bit of an eastward bound traffic. Northbound road towards Dorsey Drive, light traffic coming off the Esterly Tibbets. And if you're heading up to West Bay via the Esterly Tibbets, you have a good flow of traffic as you make your way up to the West Bay area. Traffic heading to the Eastern Districts, very light this time of the morning. And of course, all this traffic heading into the Georgetown area should dissipate like around 9:30 minutes to 10, so thereabouts. Heading towards the airport to catch your flight, so early, very light traffic at this time of the morning. And of course, Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, light traffic this time as well. Buckle up, stay safe, don't be speeding, take your time. Don't want to be in the accident like they had this morning already. Don't want your car written off at all any time. You need your car, all right? Traffic report brought to you by our good friends at Subway.
The rich flavors of Italy just arrived at Subway. Say ciao to the Italianos. Our 3 new Subway Series recipes, carefully crafted with an Italian flair. Try the Hot Shot Italiano for an enticing and zesty touch. The tastier than ever Ultimate BMT, generously stuffed with a mix of ham, pepperoni, and salami. Or go all in with the creamy chicken bacon Alfredo. New Subway Series Italianos. Chef-crafted greatness in every bite. Elevate your game only at Subway. Delizioso.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
Have you heard? The Ministry of Tourism and Ports has launched the Visitors Experience Development Grant Program. This program is specifically for Caymanians looking to provide a new product or service to visitors of the Cayman Islands. Successful applicants may receive up to 50,000 CI dollars in funding to be used for business-related expenditures. To find out more information and to apply, visit www.ourcayman.ky/VEDGP. That's ourcayman.ky/VEDGP.
Water Authority Cayman is building a resilient network to face the storms of the season.
Because of our commitment to ensuring our customers have access to water during the hurricane season, the Water Authority has been investing in the development of our critical infrastructure, increasing our water storage capacity with 2 new reservoirs and increasing our water production capacity with the construction of a new reverse osmosis plant. Visit www.waterauthority.ky to learn how you can get your home ready for the hurricane season.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. For those of you who are just joining us, it is my pleasure to have in the studio with me the Deputy Governor and Head of the Civil Service, the Honorable Franz Manderson. Also in the studio with us for this particular segment of the show is Minister with Responsibility for Tourism and Ports, the Honorable Kenneth Bryan. So the first segment, we're basically discussing why ministers should not be involved in public service staffing matters. We have made reference to the Constitution, the various sections of our Constitution, as well as the a short comparison with the 1972 Constitution as well. Before I give the mic back over to my guests, we have a few birthday shout-outs that I am going to read very quickly. Happy birthday to Ms. Denzi Carter, who turns, they sent it to me, so I'll read it. 70 years old, strong today. Sometimes people may not want to give out their age. She was a pioneer in the police force, police service, being the first woman inspector, chief inspector, superintendent, and chief superintendent. We love you and pray that the Lord gives you many more years of health and happiness. Love coming from your loving husband, Bill, daughters, Nicole and Melanie's son-in-law, Yaya, and Peter as well. And we see a happy birthday greetings going out to Miss Onisha Richards from the Fantastic Four, with love always and forever.
Happy birthday, Onisha, yes.
And then one more, this person wants to, Miss Laname actually, wants to send out happy birthday to her uncle, Rivington, also to her cousin, Darlene Watler, on her birthday today. She was my uncle's birthday gift, because in those days, a family birth was a gift to that person. Thank you very much, Miss Laname, and I'm going to throw the mic back over. We know that Minister Bryan will soon be leaving us, so we're going to give the mic over to him for now.
I think it's important that we clarify that it's not only the ministers we're talking about. We're talking about any elected member, period.
MP.
Right?
Yeah.
MPs.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it's not only the ministers, because the Constitution outlines, as is inferred, that no elected arm, even in opposition leader, backbenchers, ministers, premier, anybody, should be influencing the hirings of the civil service. And I want to make it clear that I agree with that. I don't think there is a place for that, because of the fallout that could potentially come and be more damaging. But the whole point of today's show is to say, okay, if the people's voice, through who they elect, don't have a say over that, then the persons who do have a say over the largest body of workers in the country that have a very important role of delivering the service and the culture of who we are as Caymanians, then whoever that is responsible, and in this room today is the Honorable Deputy Governor, who's full responsibility for that, needs to then, I hate to say it like this, but take accountability for the makeup of it, and why we're not seeing enough as what we would expect to be as many Caymanians there.
But you have to admit that ministers are much closer to the reins of power than other elected members, and much closer to the civil servants who work in their ministries. But
if I can opine on that,
point is well taken.
If I can opine on that, so you're right, because an HR person can say, all right, an MP came to me, but that MP has no say over my ministry. But when a minister says something, it's like, oh, well, I'm expected to follow out the actions by the minister. So I get your point. But the way it's worded, anybody that is elected shouldn't be having any conversations with that. So I'll leave that there. I just think that there is this discussion about a rollover policy for those who are non-Caymanians, which has come up politically, and the government is in the process of analyzing that, and we'll talk about that later. But I mean, it is really, I don't know what else to say other than, we, the elected arm, don't have that control over the hiring. And why are we at the point today? And I guess, DG, I'll just hand it back over to you.
Yes.
Because we hear the calls every day on this show and other shows about, I practically cried last week hearing and understanding the stories of young people calling in saying, I applied and I couldn't get a job, but there's 1,300 plus more in the biggest employed area, but they can't get a job. We spend millions of dollars every year on scholarships. Now, we can't hire everybody, but who's saying what the reason is for that? So I'll stop there.
Yeah. It's a kind of good discussion. So yes, I am the one responsible. I am a proud deputy governor. I am proud to lead the civil service. It is a privilege to serve the government and the people of the Cayman Islands. So first and foremost is that, yes, we do have 1,300 persons who are non-Caymanians in our civil service. The reason they are there is because after a vigorous recruitment exercise where there was no Caymanian who was available and qualified and had the ability to do that job. That is a fact. That's why we have those persons. Those non-Caymanians are around 4 major departments in government: police, prison, education, and DCFS. And Department of Children and Family Services. When I say Children and Family Services, I mean the persons who are in our care homes, who are caring for our elderly, some of our most vulnerable in our society, and they do an absolutely brilliant job taking care of those persons. So my job in the civil service is to ensure, as Minister Bryan said, and I told him he is, pushing on an open door here. We want to make sure that our people, I'm a Caymanian, I have Caymanian children, want to make sure that they have the best opportunities in their country. That is an absolute right. And my job is to make sure that that happens every day. And one of the best moments that I have on a daily basis in the civil service is to meet Caymanians who are coming into the civil service. Yesterday, with the stroke of an email, I was able to approve for a returning graduate to get a permanent job in the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Heritage, just by saying yes to an email. The law says that that a returning graduate who's coming back, who's been on a government scholarship, they can be appointed without open competition. There's no need to. You don't need to apply. And
how many people actually knew that?
Yes, okay. But I can tell you, regularly in the civil service, I get those emails. Deputy Governor, it says they have to seek my permission, and I've never said no. I've always said absolutely. One of my shining moments as Deputy Governor, I will never forget, was one of my chief officers said, DG, I'm sending you an email. I've found this outstanding young Caymanian. They're coming into my ministry. You approved for them to be appointed without open competition. Would you like to come over and be present when I tell them? And I said, yes, I would absolutely love to be present. And we called the civil servant in, and we said, we're officially welcoming you to the civil service family. You are now a permanent member of our organization. And it was like the civil servant has won the lottery. They were ecstatic that we were able to give them that opportunity. My job, and what Minister Bryan is saying, is DG, you have to do that more often.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Because 1 or 2 out of 1,300 is not enough for me.
Right, exactly. But you start.
Yes.
So how are we doing? I asked my team for some statistics. How many Caymanians have joined the civil service on their year? 347. That's a start in the right direction. How many civil servants, Caymanian civil servants, have served for 1 year? 240. 140. How many civil servants have been employed in the service, Caymanian have been employed in the civil service in the last 5 years, 1,225. So we are doing I think, a good job of making it easier for our young people to get in. And in the next segment, I can talk about some programs that Minister Bryan and the government has supported, given us funding to be able to do it. In other words, one of the things that Minister Bryan talked about is persons coming in out of college. I have no experience, but I want to get a job.
Mm-hmm.
The government has provided us some funding for an emerging talent program that's actually working very well, where we can put young Caymanians in a job with no experience and give them the experience. I want to talk a little bit about the teacher that you mentioned. That is unheard of to me, that a teacher has come back to our country and don't have a job. Mr. Bryan, I would say to you to tell that lady to contact me today. I will meet with her before I go home this evening, and we will make sure that something is done about that.
Private sector has already hired her, so.
Yeah. But if she wants to talk to me, fine. The Ministry of Education keeps spaces open for Caymanians at all times. They do the best job they can. I was just reading yesterday about there is a global shortage of teachers.
Yeah.
The world needs 44 million teachers by 2030. The UK can't find teachers. Canada can't find teachers. Jamaica is now recruiting teachers from India and the Philippines.
And they
Jamaica.
used to be a source of teachers.
Exactly.
Yes.
The United States are offering green cards to teachers. We are losing teachers to the United States, to Dubai. So we have, our crisis is not that we are losing, thankfully our crisis is not that we are losing teachers. Can you imagine what Mr. Bryan would be saying to me today if we didn't have teachers in the classroom? That would be a major issue.
Agreed.
Yeah. So we are putting teachers in the classroom. He's saying, DG, I think you need to look at how you're actually doing it. And we are doing that, but I am saying that we are up against a global shortage of teachers. And that is something that is not going to go away. I looked at this I'm studying around it. The UK is having ministerial conversations around this at the moment because they're just not able to find teachers. So if they can't find teachers in the UK, how are we going to be able to attract those people here from other countries? Because in their countries, there's a shortage. So those are some of the things that we're up against. But my commitment to everyone is to do my best every day to make sure that the opportunity that Franz Manderson had to start as an intern, to be here at the civil service, is available to every Caymanian that is qualified and able and willing and wants to take that opportunity. That is my goal.
Well, DG, I know that you're committed to that because I know you personally. I've grown to love you a whole lot more over time and respect the civil service arm over time as well. You do have a very hard challenge in respect to the teachers component, but there is something even more complicated than that, which is we do get a lot of teachers from Jamaica, and we have a very strong relationship with Jamaica, but there is a concern of the cultural influence on our kids by having too much of a prominence of any one nationality. When I grew up in the Cayman Islands, in the school system, we had a great balance of different nationalities. There was never any one nationality that was overwhelmingly influencing my teachings, my understandings of life, because a teacher spends almost more time with a child than a parent. So if you have any one predominant sex of persons, and this could be people from Japan, could be people from Australia, could be people from America, I don't think it's good because we are already seeing diminishing cultural norms and attitudes and approaches. Hence the reason why whenever there is a Caymanian who's gone away to school that wants to be a teacher, it's supposed to be an automatic approval. Now, again, I don't have the say over that. That's why I'm happy to hear what he's saying today. But also you have to balance that of what are the percentages? I don't think you have them today, but I think the public should know. What are the percentages of the different nationalities that are within our school system because of that important role as a teacher and the influence they have over our children? We're talking about cultural identity here, right? And it's the same thing with the police service. But I'll get to that in a second.
So I'm going to interrupt you there, Minister Bryan, because I hear what you're saying. We're going to go to a commercial break and we're going to come back. But whose responsibility is it to set that policy to decide which nationalities are to be employed in the Cayman Islands?
I'll allow the DG to answer that question. Before we go to the break, I'll allow him to answer the question.
Yeah, so
make him answer.
Yeah, so I think in the immigration law there are talks about to around demographics. There's nothing in our law that talks about that, the Public Service Management Act. So right now, our job is to find the best people for the job. At the moment, those persons are coming predominantly from one area or one nationality. I just said here that I'm not sure that we're going to find people from elsewhere.
Yeah.
Because so it's a real issue. Nothing that he's saying I'm disagreeing with. I'm just saying this is not an easy task to fix. We would have fixed it long ago if it was possible.
So, Minister Bryan, you don't believe that the politicians and the ministers have a role to play in that? I mean,
I do agree. I do agree with you 100%.
When it comes to the immigration law, the deputy governor doesn't bring the immigration law and those policies. It's up to the politicians to decide whether or not they're going to amend.
I agree with you.
They're going to amend.
I agree with you that
right?
we should have a say. I'm saying to you that if I say to the deputy governor, if my premier through caucus and cabinet says you should have this balance of non-national or a particular nationality not there, they don't have to listen to us.
But if you put it in legislation, they have to.
Yeah, but
if you put it in legislation, they have to.
Okay, I agree. I'll agree with you there, right? But the same legislation that we try to create has to be approved by the governor to assent to it, upon which she'll take the advice from the DG. So we can go down this road, because I've been down this road already. You remember the motion that I brought about Cayman positions that never got any support from the civil service arm, and I really didn't want this to be that kind of conversation. But it goes into the separation of powers, because if you ask the elected arm right now, they will tell you no, they don't like the setup and the way it is, but we don't have the power to direct him and the HR persons to do it in a particular way. We can create all the policies you want. The civil service position.
That power through legislation. You're only going to get it through legislation.
Well, so do you realize that if we all, even if every 19 members in Parliament approve something, that by direction of the deputy governor and his team, by way of advice, they can say to the governor, listen, I don't think this is the best suited way for us to have a world-class service. Therefore, this legislation, I don't agree. I don't think you should assent to it. That's the makeup of the overseas territory that we have. So people may think we have absolute power, but
we haven't tried it yet.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. I've done it in Parliament when I was in opposition, not when I was a minister.
But have we had legislation that went to the governor in this respect that has been has not been assented to?
I mean, Mr. Collins, that is a nuclear option that would rarely ever be deployed by a governor. All right, if the government decided that a policy should be or a law should be enacted around that, it would be very unusual for a governor to go.
I'm going to give you an example. Sorry to cut you. We put the policy in place from previous, even the last government, about the makeup of the police service, saying that it was a security concern and risk to have such a large population of one nationality in the police service. 7 years I've been elected, 7 years. Every year I look at the police yearly review book, and the percentages have not decreased. We still have almost 40%, I think it's 36% now, of Jamaican nationals. And again, this is not about Jamaicans. It could have been Cubans. I'm saying that you can't have that large amount of any one nationality in this police service because of the influence they have on our security state.
But explain the policy. What you said you put a policy in place.
The DG can answer it. We have said in cabinet over and over and over again, why is this not changed? And we've given the directive, and the answer is we'll try to. And it has not changed.
Okay. Gone past our commercial break, and we know, folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers, a compounding story.
I don't think people realize how pain creeps into your life. It has a way of robbing your strength. I really don't like taking prescription medication orally.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. They understand.
When it comes to compounded medication, it's personal. So whenever there's a problem with some medication or treatments that's not working right, then a physician will call me and say, hey, they're having bad side effects from this medication.
Compounding pain cream changed the game. Made special for me. Significant pain relief in the form of a cream. That is a new experience for me.
It's changed his life.
It worked.
Ask your pharmacist or healthcare provider about compounding at West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Call 914-6449.
You can now renew your driver's license or motor vehicle license online, and you don't need an ESID number. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Visit www.dvdl.gov.ky.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop flights from Cayman. Cayman Airways offers more non-stop flights to and from the Cayman Islands than any other airline. Now you can add Panama and Los Angeles to your travel bucket list. Skip the hassle of connecting flights. Panama is just a 2-hour non-stop flight from Cayman. And Los Angeles? Get there in less than 5 hours non-stop aboard Cayman Airways. Call 949-2311 or visit CaymanAirways.com to book your Los Angeles or Panama getaway today.
The sale you've been waiting for is here. Brand Source Home Gallery's custom closet and kitchen cabinet sale is now through September 30th. Save 20% on closets, pantries, Murphy beds, wall units, media centers, and that long overdue kitchen cabinet makeover. Our designers will create your dream closet or kitchen. Choose from our in-stock selection or special order and have installed before December. Shop now and save 20% with Brand Source Home Gallery's custom closet and kitchen cabinet sale. Hurry, sale ends September 30th. Visit us at 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, or call 623-5000.
Shop at Funky Tanks, the home of electronics and more. Check out Funky Tanks' 2 locations, Shedden Road and Countryside Savannah, for loads of savings. In stock at Funky Tanks, both locations, stoves, fridges and small appliances, mini split air conditioning units, sheets and comforters, all sizes, window curtains, cell phones and telephone accessories, musical instruments, karaoke and Bluetooth speakers, portable radios and portable fans are now available. Get yours for your hurricane kit. Funky Tanks. For more information, call 949-0998.
She hear clunk and her car stop. I was just about to send her some money, so I send it straight to her JN Money Transfer card. It cost me less, and perhaps she use the card, pay the garage right away. She'll get discount through the JN Rewards program in Jamaica. This card make things easy. You can even get funds at any multi-link ATM.
JN Money Transfer Card. Fast, affordable, convenient. Tell your loved ones in Jamaica about it. Sign up is free.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you. From cookware to stereos, from power tools to plumbing supplies. Yeah, we got the best goods with the best price and a service to make you smile. Kirk's Home Center, we got a great deal in store for you.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Honorable Franz Manderson, Deputy Governor and Head of the Civil Service, and Minister Kenneth Bryan, who has responsibility for tourism and ports. Minister Bryan will soon be leaving us, so I'm going to throw the mic back over to you before you leave.
OC, I'm just going to do closing, and then I'm going to leave the Honorable
Sure.
Deputy Governor to finish, because we can't keep on applying pressure without him giving an opportunity to respond.
Yes, yeah.
I want to highlight, though, that even though I spoke about the police service, that the police service doesn't fall, the hiring part doesn't fall under the Honorable Deputy Governor. So the makeup of the police service would not definitely be an area that one can say hold him accountable for the makeup for. So I want to make sure that's clear. And lastly, in closing, I want to say thank you so much to those 68% and everybody else in the civil service for the amazing job that they do. This conversation is not here about criticizing the service. This is about improving the service with Caymanians. That's what I'm trying to accomplish. So every one of you amazing civil servants that I see every morning that makes me look good, I love you and I thank you. But I am also obligated to make sure that the service is filled with people of my land, even those who become Caymanian or those who are born Caymanian. That's what I'm trying to accomplish. And I think we both want the same thing. How we get there is solely under his constitutional purview. With that being said, thank you for allowing me on. DG, I wish you the best in your endeavors to fulfill that goal. I'll listen on the radio from outside. God bless you. Thank you for allowing me in.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Bryan.
Bryan.
And
Thank you very
DG, we know that you have lots of information that you're going to put out there, and you can probably add to that. This question here, the person says, what are plans and time schedule to fill entry-level positions now being held by non-Caymanians?
Yes.
With Caymanians, do you think that there is equity with the immigration law and the public and private sector rollover? And what, if any, changes are in the works to avoid this? So over to you, DG.
No, good question. And first of all, I'm not aware of any entry-level posts that are being held by non-Caymanians. We reserve entry-level posts for our people.
Yes.
And so if you go around the civil service, I am not aware of any entry-level person, because obviously we will train up our people. I was reminded just now, another one of those returning graduates that I approved recently was in the Ministry of Education. So it is happening from all the time. The Ministry of Education, I think, spent almost $20,000 advertising in the UK every year for teachers. But when people look at the cost of living and look at what housing and opportunities for the children to go to school, it is issues. So there are certain barriers that are out there, but we are doing our endeavor best to make sure that we get the right people in our civil service that can perform the jobs that are required of them. We have a monopoly on every service we provide, Mr. Connor. Monopoly. So we have that overriding obligation to provide that service at the highest level. The people depend on us for that. So we have that obligation. I just want to say something about the police service. So I attend every police graduation. Mr. Bryan is correct. Cabinet raised the issue, and we've been working with our commissioner over the last 4 or 5 years. And I can say without a doubt that the number of Caymanians that is in our police service is on the increase. A lot of young Caymanians are now joining our RCIPS, and they weren't doing it before. I attended graduations. I was actually, I think, acting governor at the last graduation, and I got to speak to every one of them. And I met people from West Bay, from Savannah, from Bordentown, from all over the Cayman Islands. I think some people was from the BRAC as well. So we're moving in the right direction. But this thing takes time, and we want to make sure that we're getting the very best persons in our service.
Yeah, I was going to mention that this change has to come about incrementally. It can't all, happen at one time. Now, what would be some of the guardrails that you would put in place to ensure that that this happens on an incremental level? And the question that the writer had in relation to a similar policy in government from the private sector in terms of rollover, because the longer a non-Caymanian civil servant remains in the civil service, they then get the opportunity to qualify for PR and then qualify for Caymanian status, and then they're in the system. So they haven't vacated that position for a Caymanian who may be
It's a very good point, Mr. Connor. And Mr. Connor, that brings us back to our days.
Yes.
I mean, people need to recognize Mr. Connor first, and then Ms. Second were the architects of our term limit policy. Mm-hmm. The rollover policy was developed by the people in this room. Mm-hmm. So how can I now say that I am against term limits? I'm not. But what I can say is that when we were doing term limits, we did it for three reasons. One is that people were living here for 20 years without any security of tenure at all. Mm-hmm. You would live for 20 years, all of a sudden your work permit got refused and you were sent home, and people were saying, but that's not right. You can't have someone living in your country for 20 years and then just kick them out.
Precisely.
Number two is we felt that Caymanians were not moving up the ladder, that there was this glass ceiling, and that they were not getting the best opportunities. And number three, we felt that Caymanians were not getting jobs in the private sector as well. So if you fast forward, whenever 15 years later, 20 years later, where are we? Well, rollover has been successful in ensuring that people don't live here for 20 years without security of tenure.
Yep.
But the public can say, has it been successful in making sure Caymanians move up the corporate ladder? I don't think so. I still get the issues of Caymanians, glass ceiling. Mm-hmm. I still get the complaints about Caymanians not getting the best jobs in the private sector. So what we must remember is that work permit holders don't take jobs from people. Employers give them away, right? So if an employer decides, I'm not going to employ a Caymanian, I don't care how many people we roll over, they are not going to do it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They would rather send the person to a far-off country to do the work over there than to employ someone that they don't feel can do the job. So, yes, there is a discussion to be had about applying term limits to the civil service, and we're having that discussion with our elected colleagues. Our stats show that the average non-Caymanian stay in the civil service for 5 years. 5 years. The average non-Caymanian civil servants spend 5 years in the civil service and they leave.
Do we know the reason for leaving?
Some of it is around family. Mm-hmm. Some of it is around opportunities. Some of it is the cost of living. And then some of it is we don't renew their contract for various issues. Caymanians available through succession planning or poor performance. So those are some of the areas that we are looking at. And we must accept that there are 37,000 work permit holders. That's a lot. The civil service has 1,200. So everything in reality. But of course, I would say that we should do better. That we should do everything we can to Caymanize our civil service. And I think in our next segment, I will roll out all the things that we are doing to make sure that our people get the very best opportunities, and we have had tremendous successes. Mr. Connor, I joined the civil service as an intern when I was 15, and at the immigration department. I became a clerical assistant. I looked at my first paycheck the following year. It was $5,000 a year. I thought that was the most money that in the world. I thought I had won the lotto. $400 a month. But it was the best decision that I've ever made, is to do that. And you and I worked together for years, and I want to publicly recognize you and to thank you for your leadership and your guidance.
Thank you.
I tell people all the time, I learn things from Mr. Connor that I apply today. Mr. Connor showed me the importance of taking hard decisions and sticking with those hard decisions to make sure that you put take care of the team. Take care of the team. Those things came from my relationship with your good self. So I want to then give all of my Caymanians the same opportunities that I had.
Now, does a system that we currently have allow for that, where you still bring in interns and they're able then to get their foot in the door? Can we talk a little bit about that?
I am proud to say that this year we had 128 interns in the civil service, and I met a lot of them. We had, Mr. Connor, we're seeing a lot of young people now wanting to work in computers. and our computer services section, I want to commend them, had over 50 Caymanians in our in computer services over the summer.
Wow.
They rotated about 50 Caymanians there. I met, I think it was 9 or 6 Caymanians who were working in our cybersecurity section. Absolutely brilliant young Caymanians who are studying in the UK, who I hope will come back and work with us. We are improving our internship program to better align it with people who then want to come back. Just yesterday, I spoke to an intern who was working in POCS, an absolutely amazing young lady. Our internship program finished in August, but she asked us, can I stay on? I don't have to go back to school until tomorrow, which is Saturday, I think. Can I stay on? And of course we said, yes, we would love to have you, because she's an absolutely brilliant employee. And I met her yesterday, and I said, you're still here? And she said, yes, Mr. Manderson. I said, I'm so proud to see that you are working with us until your last day. I thought you would take a little break and get some rest. And she said, no, Mr. Manderson, I'm loving it here. I love who I work with. I want to stay here until the end. And I said, listen, please stay until the end. And if you want to come back and work with us in the Christmas, please do, because we will move mountains to get our people in the doors and to make sure that they have the same opportunities that I have.
Great.
Yeah. So I would like to just talk a little bit about the I mentioned the fact that we have an emerging talent program. So, Mr. Corner, what we found was that there were a number of young Caymanians coming back from school, highly educated, and were unable to get jobs because of the adage that you don't have any experience. And where that would manifest itself, the case that came to me was a young vet, highly skilled vet who came back from university but was unable to get a job at the Department of Agriculture. And they said, DG, we want to give the person a job, but we have no money. We don't have the budget. We would want to put her on a succession plan, but we just don't have the money. So we went to the government and we said, listen, we would like to set up a central fund in POCS that will allow us to fund cases like that. So we had I think $500,000 that the government gave us that we use to whenever we identify great talent coming back from school, they are highly qualified, they're skilled, they're eager to join the civil service. The department says, I want to take them, I have no money, because it takes time to train someone, and you can't have someone, performing surgeries, day one. You want to make sure that they have the necessary skill set and the experience to do it. So we funded that young lady, and I'm pleased to say that she is now working at the Department of Agriculture as a vet and doing an absolutely outstanding job. And then we have people like that at archives and in communications. So we have a number of Caymanians who have taken up that opportunity.
And this is basically a special carve out for departments and ministries to be able to hire people
with Caymanians with no experience.
Yes,
because I think we all keep hearing it. I'm back from college. I'm highly educated. I apply for jobs, but I have no experience. And I understand why people, do want to have someone come in with experience. But then, how will they ever get the experience if you don't give them the opportunity? So we are now doing our part to make sure that those persons get that opportunity. And it's working very well, Mr. Connor. I think, and I will be asking the government for more money because I want to do it on a larger scale. The other thing I want to talk about, Mr. Connor, is that I believe the civil service should always be part of the solution. We have had cases where our young people had convictions, they have been to prison, they have reformed themselves, but they can't get a job. So we have now set up a second chances program in our civil service for Caymanians who have a conviction, who are unable to get a job, we have now found those people jobs. And I think we have about 15 Caymanians in that right now. And Mr. Connor, I think only of that 15, I believe only 2 persons are no longer in the program. So it has been very successful. I had a Caymanian who was out of a job for 5 years, is now a productive member of our community and is working and has held down a job and has done it impeccably. So our people who are screaming for a second chance, and we have given them that second chance in our civil service. Again, can we do more? Yes, we can, but we are well on our way. We have a secondment policy within our civil service, Mr. Connor. So what I have is that existing civil servants, they go off and they get a qualification. So you are a HR person, but you decide you would like to go into finance. So you go off and you get a finance degree, and then you start applying for jobs in finance. You have no experience. So we said, okay, we're going to put in place a secondment policy that will allow you to be seconded from one ministry to the next, maybe 3 days a week, 2 days a week in the afternoons to give you that experience. And I have now had great success with that, where people went off, got education, and now have gotten experience and has now transitioned from one area of the service to the other. So I am very, very, very proud about that.
And that sort of mirrors to a certain extent what the private sector does. Let's say, for instance, if you are a trained accountant or qualified accountant, but you have no experience, many of those persons who are on scholarship, they're allowed to work in the company's office overseas, before they return to the Cayman Islands.
That's correct.
So, what you're doing there, is quite similar to that.
Yes. And we are, committed to making sure that our people are getting every opportunity. Mr. Kondo, I am very proud of our Civil Service College. The work that they're doing there is absolutely amazing. I challenged the team in Civil Service College to do more for our civil servants. And they have, I think, exceeded my expectations. I have some statistics that I'll read in a little bit. But I just want to give a big shout out to our team in the Civil Service College. Just, I think last week, we awarded scholarships, Mr. Connor, for the very first time to Caymanians to basically further their education. And we now have Caymanians. So in the civil service, you can get up to a master's degree without having to pay anything.
Wow.
So that is reserved for Caymanians. But again, we are doing everything we can to make sure that our people are getting the opportunities to realize their dreams. We're really working hard to make that happen.
Okay, we're going to be going to our headline news in about 30 seconds. One of our listeners wrote and said, there is a specific curriculum that is designed for teachers to adhere to. So the view of Minister Bryan's that cultural influences have on, so the view, I think, that cultural influences can have an effect on our students by the teachers is not realistic. This is one of the reasons the government put in place schools inspections to make sure that the teachers are following the curriculum to the T. So a teacher is unlikely to bring his or her culture in the curriculum. I want to thank that writer for that. Folks, top of the hour, headline news. When we return, the discussion will continue with the Honorable Franz Manderson, Deputy Governor and Head of the Civil Service of the Cayman Islands. Please stay tuned.
Radio station. Radio Cayman is the voice of the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
Public Health is hosting a vaccination clinic tomorrow at the Smith Road Medical Center from 9 until 1. Vaccines will include the adult COVID vaccine and the Gardasil 9 HPV vaccine for children over the age of 12. A barrage of rockets has been fired from Lebanon into northern Israel, with alarms activated in areas in the north of the country. It comes after Israel carried out extensive airstrikes on southern Lebanon, targeting positions of the Iranian-backed group Hezbollah. The military says its warplanes struck more than 100 rocket launchers as well as weapons depots. It comes as Israeli defense minister says, quote, "We are at the start of a new phase of the war." The Hezbollah leader has vowed to inflict retribution after explosions of communication devices used by the group killed more than 30 people and injured thousands. Bulgaria's state security agency says none of the pagers that exploded in Lebanon on Tuesday were imported to, exported from, or made in Bulgaria. The White House has said it is concerned about a potential escalation in the Middle East. The UN Security Council is discussing the crisis later today. Those are your headlines. I'm Carsley Fuller.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
The Health Services Authority would like to thank you, the Cayman community, for voting us the Best of Cayman Islands 2024 in 13 medical categories. As the largest and longest healthcare provider in the Cayman Islands, we have been caring for you for many generations, helping the people of our islands live longer, healthier, and happier lives. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you. For more information, visit hsa.ky or call 949-8600.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers, a compounding story.
I don't think people realize how pain creeps into your life. It has a way of robbing your strength. I really don't like taking prescription medication orally.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. They understand.
When it comes to compounded medication, it's personal. So whenever there's a problem with some medication or treatments that's not working right, then a physician will call me and say, hey, they're having bad side effects from this medication.
Compounding Pain Cream changed the game. Made special for me. Significant pain relief in the form of a cream. That is a new experience for me.
It's changed his life.
It worked.
Ask your pharmacist or healthcare provider about compounding at West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Call 914-6449.
The sale you've been waiting for is here. Brand Source Home Gallery's custom closet and kitchen cabinet sale is now through September 30th. Save 20% on closets, pantries, Murphy beds, wall units, media centers, and that long overdue kitchen cabinet makeover. Our designers will create your dream closet or kitchen. Choose from our in-stock selection or special order and have installed before December. Shop now and save 20% with Brand Source Home Gallery's custom closet and kitchen cabinet sale. Hurry, sale ends September 30th. Visit us at 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, or call 623-5000.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
With Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Deputy Governor and Head of the Civil Service, the Honourable Franz Manderson. I know many of our listeners and viewers are inquiring about when the phone lines will be open. If time allows, we will have the phone lines open. But meanwhile, I have encouraged you to send your questions and comments to our WhatsApp number 925-3261. In the event that we're unable to take calls, the Mr. Manderson has committed to returning to the show at a later date to take calls, exclusively take calls from you, to hear from you about your concerns about the civil service as well. Meanwhile, whatever you send to me, I will share with the Deputy Governor. For instance, this particular question that one person had said in relation to a question, person says, please ask the DG if they would consider a policy to, where possible, use temporary agencies for workers instead of hiring expats full-time. These jobs would remain vacant then for when qualified Caymanians are available. And then they also ask, would you consider hiring someone with experience but no degree, then allow the individual to acquire the degree whilst in that role? And I believe you touched on that in that portion of it as well, talking about the scholarships.
Yeah, in relation to the temp agency, we do that from time to time, but we do it for sort of stopgaps. Persons on maternity leave, persons are out of office. We sometimes bring in somebody temporarily, but I haven't considered doing it in the avenue that they are suggesting, but I'd certainly take that on board.
And would you have, let's say, for instance, you had advertised that position and the position that the person is in, there were other Caymanians who were not successful. Yes. Would you go back to look at those applications and say, here we have an opportunity to at least temporarily employ them if they're available to fill that gap that is there in the meantime as well? That would be the possibility also.
So, like I said, we try to move mountains to make sure that we give our people the opportunities. What was the other question? Sorry, it was around
whether or not you would hire someone without experience and then allow them later on to get.
Again, we try to give. So, for example, we have something called probation officer graduate, and again, that is giving somebody an entry-level position, Caymanian, where they can train up. Some persons will come in that may want to be a social worker but doesn't have the full qualifications. We could take them on while they gain their qualifications. So we're trying very hard to make sure that we get our people in. I just want to say one thing about our education, because I think people, that's a very, subject that's near and dear to all of us. And we must recognize our Premier for her passion and the things that she has done to do her best from her side, the things that she is responsible for, the funding, for the post, bringing in additional resources, whether it is persons that are dealing with behavioral issues or special needs. I think she has done an incredible job making sure that we have the resources. Our job in the civil service is to then use those resources. So have we seen successes? We must remember that there's no government schools that are weak. None. There were a couple of schools in the private sector that were weak, but there were no government schools are weak. John Gray, Lighthouse School, and Lehman Scott in Cayman Brac, those schools are rated good. That is the same classification that Cayman Prep has. So that is something that we should be very proud of. Now, our job again is to move more schools to good, and that is the challenge that the Premier has given us, and I believe we will be doing that. Mr. Conn, like I said, some of the joys that I have as head of the civil service is to give people opportunities and to try to make people's lives better. I'll share this story with you. A few months ago, a gentleman emailed Minister Bryan, who was here, and myself, and he gave a very passionate story of a young man who had a young child who was out of a job and needed assistance. I met with him, And I was so impressed with his attitude, his demeanor. I could tell that he was a really bright young man who just needed an opportunity. In the civil service, we have open recruitment, so I just can't put people in a job. But I do have the authority to employ someone without competition for a short period of time. And as fate would have it, we had an opening in the portfolio of the civil service. And that young man is in that job right now. And he is flourishing. And we are giving him some training opportunities so that he will be able to apply for a permanent position in the civil service. So I do want the public to understand that when it's possible for us to get our people in and give them opportunities, we're taking every advantage of it. We want to make sure that our people get the very best opportunities. There's always this question around succession planning. You know, what are we doing? Is it working? Is that the reason why we have so many non-nationals in our civil service? So let's go back, Mr. Connor. We have, and this was not the situation two years ago. The head of our fire service, Caymanian. The head of the police service, Caymanian. The head of the prison service, Caymanian. The head of CBC, Caymanian. Head of 911, Caymanian. The head of work, Caymanian. So that was not always the case.
Yeah.
But that is something that we should be proud of. That we have now highly capable Caymanians in the top of those law enforcement services. It has been years where we haven't had those organizations headed by Caymanians. So we are doing some really good work around succession planning to making sure that our people get that opportunity. I want to highlight.
And you just, if I could interrupt you there, we just had a change with CBC coming up as well, and Caymanian has been.
Mr. Clifford did a really great job in preparing his successor. I commend him for that and wish him well in his retirement, and congratulate Mr. Bruce Smith for doing it. But I am so pleased. So, Mr. Jeremy Scott, who I recruited as an immigration officer, who worked with us, is now head of work. Mr. Bruce Smith, who was my deputy when I was over at immigration, is now the head. So, you know, these are great stories that we should celebrate. We have Caymanians in so many important positions. We have Caymanians, a chief nursing officer who's a Caymanian, director of hazard management, a Caymanian, our deputy solicitor general, we have a Caymanian in that role. Our one of the deputy chief fire officers is a Caymanian. So we are our ombudsman is a Caymanian. The majority of the senior positions in the civil service is held by our people, and that is something that we should be proud of.
So how do we then, the person who had a concern about the entry-level positions, even though you have pointed out that you're not aware of any entry-level positions that are held by non-Caymanians, but those persons who are not department heads and are not deputies, how do we inspire them and reaffirm to them that the pathway is there for them as well?
Absolutely, and that's a really great question, Mr. Connor, because that is something that we need to focus on. So our law requires that every key post in the civil service has a succession plan. And if you ask me, DG, is that happening right now? The answer is no. What we have done is now developed a succession planning framework that was just presented to my senior leadership team and myself, and I think will be rolled out. Education first, let the civil service know what's happening, get us all prepared, and by early next year we will have that in position. I'm not going to say any more than that, but just to say to all of my amazing civil servants that look out for that. It is happening. Succession planning will be a priority. It has been for a while, but now we're formalizing it to make sure that it works. Mr. Connor, when I look back on Franz, what have you done to help the situation? So I have appointed 11 chief officers during my time in 12 years, all Caymanian, and some of them have moved on, but they then, to your point, Mr. Connor, they then in turn promoted people up to their positions, again, all Caymanian. So we are doing everything we can. You will see from time to time that when I'm away or when I'm acting up as governor, various people act as deputy governor. I'm doing that because I want to make sure that when Franz goes to West Bay and gets in his hammock, that I can feel really great that our civil service is in great hands, and that the persons coming behind me are going to take it to the next level. That is what we are charged to do. So again, I am very pleased that we have now turned that corner on succession planning, formalizing it, giving it the status that it deserves, and make sure that Caymanians understand, if I do these things, where can I go in a number of years? If I want to be the next, collective director of CBC, I can be in a formal succession plan for that, and how we actually, the policies that we put around that, to make sure that we don't end up then with a foreign national taking over because we haven't done our succession planning.
Great. Okay, so we're going to go to a commercial break. When we return, we want to talk about staff engagement survey results, and also what is being done to improve customer service in the public service as well. And also, you mentioned the word Caymanian, and we see more and more the phrase cropping up now, generational Caymanians, where people are making a distinction between a generational Caymanian and a Caymanian by other means. And I would like for you to explain to our listening and viewing audience, when it comes to the Constitution and when it comes to your obligations as far as hiring Caymanians, what legal description are you allowed to use in terms of who is a Caymanian?
Yeah.
Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The DVDL Customer Support Unit is now open. Customers can book appointments for written and driving tests through DVDL's hotline at 945-8344. That's 945-8344.
There you go, sir. Thanks for choosing JN Money Transfer.
Why, thanks to JN Money Transfer, I can stay right here in Cayman and pay mama bills back home in Jamaica. Her water, light, phone, and other bills never late. Every month I pay everything in one place.
Make payments to over 30 companies in Jamaica through JN Money Transfer. Fast, affordable, convenient. Call 1-800-744-1163 for details.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Shop at Funky Tanks, the home of electronics and more. Check out Funky Tanks' 2 locations, Shetland Road and Countryside Savannah, for loads of savings. In stock at Funky Tanks, both locations, stoves, fridges, and small appliances, mini split air conditioning units, sheets and comforters, all sizes, window curtains, cell phones and telephone accessories, musical instruments, karaoke and Bluetooth speakers, portable radios and portable fans are now available. Get yours for your hurricane kit. Funky Tanks. For more information, call 949-0998. 89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman 89.9 FM.
Remember to discard all fresh fruits and vegetables, meats, all foods in canisters, dented, leaking, or rusting cans after they have come in contact with floodwater. Also discard foods that are stored in cardboard boxes, paper foil, cellophane, and cloth, as well as those in open containers and packages.
For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit DAH website at www.gov.ky/DAH.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Honorable Franz Manderson, Deputy Governor and Head of the Civil Service. DG, you spoke earlier about succession planning. So before we go on to the staff engagement survey results, as well as the improvements in customer service, this person wanted to know whether or not the succession planning initiatives, whether or not they're being monitored. This would help to retain talented, qualified Caymanians and stop the brain drain for those who are not in senior positions but aspire to be and are currently upskilling.
Yes. So the short answer is no, it's not being monitored at the moment. But that's the whole idea of us getting the framework in place so that will happen. And so I thank the caller for that question. They're right. It's not happening at the moment. There is various good things happening, but I can't honestly say that it's being monitored. But it will be.
Yep.
So, Mr. Conley, I want to talk about our staff engagement survey. So, we understand in the civil service that we have to take care of our employees, the ones that do the work that no one else wants to do, the ones that are putting their life on the line for us, and the ones who are, working 24/7. Doing a very critical job that no one else can do in the Cayman Islands. So in 2017, we did a staff engagement survey, and we asked civil servants to tell us how they felt about their work, their organization and objectives and purpose, their manager, their teams, leadership, pay and benefits, inclusion and fair treatment, learning and development. And we then got a overall score, and they said, okay, because we want to find out, please be truthful with us. So this is an international organization that does engagement surveys all over the world, including the UK, and they ran that survey for us. So surveys now I think are done in Australia somewhere. So back in 2017, 61% of the service took the survey. That was 2,278 persons. And we had an engagement index of 67%.
Okay.
So that was okay, but we then got together as a senior team and said, okay, how are we going to address some of the issues that civil service has flagged with us? So one of the major things that we talked about was learning development. 53% is not acceptable. So we worked hard, and I mentioned the Civil Service College. So last year, I'm very pleased to say that 83% of the civil service took the survey. That's a great number, 3,756. And our engagement index is now up to 73% from 67%. Learning and development, which was 53%, is now almost 70%. So that is a really great improvement. So we have improved in all areas of the responses, and I'm very proud to say that 88% of the service said, you know what, I am proud to be a civil servant. And that makes me proud.
Yes, yes.
Because you and I both know if you're proud to work for an organization, you're never going to let it fail.
Precisely.
So we looked at learning and development, and we wanted to make sure that there were various courses that civil servants could take. I said if we want to improve our performance, we have to improve our leadership. So we offer the ILM, the International Leadership and Management certifications. This year, we have over 200 civil servants completing this. That is the highest completion achievement since we've launched. So it's going from strength to strength. But also, Mr. Connor, is that we understand that all civil servants can't formally study. So we say, okay, let us take the learning to your desk. So we have a partnership with LinkedIn Learning that civil servants can learn about their core competencies and the things that they need to do to become upskilled. And since its launch in 2021, civil servants have completed 24,000 short courses. So what it said is our civil servants were hungry for learning, and we are now giving it to them. And this year alone, civil servants have completed over 4,000 courses and reviewed over 87,000 videos, learning videos. So I am really proud of what we're doing in that area. And you mentioned the word aspire, and we now offer a ILM course for our young civil servants who want to come in who wants to be a leader.
Yes.
So you can offer at the entry level, and then you can go up from ILM, the Aspire level, all the way up to ILM 7. So it has been an absolutely brilliant performance by our civil service colleagues. So Ms. Gloria McField-Nixon and Ms. Monique Malcolm and the team there are doing a really great job in making sure that our civil servants are doing that.
Great.
Having those opportunities. So we will have an engagement survey again this year, and I am again hoping that the results will be an improvement. The one, of course, that is not going anywhere is paying benefits. So it was 29% in 2017. It's now 38%. So we've moved up a bit. But if you ask me, Mr. Connor, what is one thing on my mind that we need to address is the cost of living.
Yes.
So we have, I think, less than 500 civil servants who do not make $3,000 a month. That's a problem. Our COLA, in terms of the cost of living and inflation, we're behind in double digits.
Always been.
Always been. So that's the conversation that we will have with our elected colleagues to look to see how we address that, because civil servants, like the members of the private sector, are hurting. And we're doing everything. We as the leaders of the country need to do everything we can to let our people ease some of the burdens from our people. We say in the civil service, our purpose is to make people's lives better. So one of the real ways we can do that is by making them financially stable and that they can support their families. So again, that is something that is a top priority for myself and my senior team at the moment. So stay tuned for that, but we are really working hard to try and make that happen.
On the question of generational Caymanian as opposed to Caymanian, you are bound by what the Constitution says.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, so I can't discriminate and to say, well, oh, sorry, you are not born here, or both your parents weren't Caymanian or whatever. Whatever the Constitution says is a Caymanian, whatever the immigration law says is a Caymanian, I have to go by that definition. We are bound by laws. So everything that I do is because of a law. So it's very important that people understand that if the law says that a person who has obtained Cayman status or the right to be Caymanian should be treated as a Caymanian, then that's exactly what I have to do. Mr. Connor, I want to talk about customer service because we've talked a little bit about our staff, what we're doing around training. So is it making a difference? Is what we're seeing, is what we're doing working? And you will be aware, Mr. Connor, that we have the Happy or Not terminals that are around across the civil service in various locations. And I pay very close attention to what that says. So every morning I get a readout to say how many people took part in pressing the buttons, and where are the red flags, where's things going well. And I monitor it, and if it's not going well in a certain area, I will have a chat with the chief officer and say, listen, please pay attention there. But we understand very clearly that we have to listen to our customers. We've put Happy or Not terminals in our police stations, right? People say, well, why would you do that? Because everyone is a customer. I gave a DG award to a prison officer, and it was for customer service. And I said, okay, well, how does that work? Well, his customers are the inmates. That's who his customers are. And I gave him the award because he saved the life of 16 prisoners when an inmate set their cell on fire. He went in there at his own risk, got the people out. He ended up in hospital, but he acted bravely and saved lives. So we gave him an award for that. But again, that is his job.
Yes.
So the question is then, is all the things that we're doing, is it really making people's lives better? Is it really getting the public to see that we value them and that we want to make sure that we serve them? So since we put this Happy or Not terminals in place in 2017, I'm pleased to say that we've had 1,350,000 responses, which is a lot.
Wow.
And our positive feedback percentage is 93%, which I think is outstanding.
It is. Yeah.
Is outstanding. So even with terminals at our police stations and at the airport and at all of our majority of our front-facing departments, we are doing very well. I want to single out, Mr. Connor, two things that we did recently that I thought was really well. That was reforming our police records, the ability to issue them. Everything is done online. You can get your police record within 24 to 48 hours, all online, not having to go to the police station at all. And licensing your car is now done completely online. There was a time when you wasted 4 hours or 5 hours sitting at DVDL. That is gone.
I remember when you used to have to stand under the breadfruit tree out there opposite Godfrey's.
Exactly, sir. So I never forget the lady that we asked to review this along with Miss Jennifer Ahern, our lady named Donna Kay. And she said, Mr. Manderson, what is the outcome that you want? When I'm finished, what's the outcome? And I said, I want to look forward to licensing my car. She said, but that's a kind of tall order. I said, but that's what we want. And I'm very pleased to say that now, I licensed my car last year. I never went to DVDL. It was done by a private garage, and I licensed my car online in 9 minutes. So I can now look forward to licensing my car. But that is the real, I think, what I call a moment of magic that we can do for our customers, because if you don't like the service of DVDL, there's no DVDL that you go to. You can leave Cayman and go somewhere else. You have to be aware of that. Yes. But we are providing a monopoly on that service, so we have to make sure that we provide it at the highest level.
Precisely. We're going to take a quick commercial break, Mr. Manderson. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Did you know that you can send money transfers to financial institutions anywhere in Jamaica with JN Money?
You mean I can send money straight to my account and cut out the middleman?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You send your own money to your own account, giving you peace of mind that the money is in your account.
JN Money Transfers to Financial Institution is another convenient service offered by JN Money. You can have this done from any JN Money location. Deposit your money straight to your account without the hassle of asking someone to do it for you. JN Money Transfers to Financial Institutions, making life easier.
You can now renew your driver's license or motor vehicle license online, and you don't need an ESID number. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Visit www.dvdl.gov.ky.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, the Honourable Franz Manderson, Deputy Governor and Head of the Civil Service of the Cayman Islands. For our YouTube watchers and listeners, you are probably hearing some popping in the background. We have a new board. It's a crackling noise. It may be internet issues. We do have a new board here that has been working pretty good, but we are trying to identify the source of the problem. So please bear with us, and we apologize for the annoying popping sound that you're hearing as well. But we hope and we trust that that does not in any way dissuade you from listening or watching as well.
Thank you.
DG.
Yes, sir. Mr. Conn, before I go, I want to give a big shout out to the team, the DVDL team at Breakers, who are leading in our Happy or Not results. So 31,000 persons have gone through that office in the last few years, and their Happy or Not rating is 99%. So I do want to give a shout out there. I also want to give a shout out to the team at NEU. We have, people were complaining that the calls and things and services to NEU were not as well as best as they should be. And we are now reformed that area. We have a Zen desk, and I can say that around 90% of our persons now get their calls and queries answered within first time. So we are making some really great efforts in that area. Also, to talk a bit about accountability. So there was an old adage that said nobody gets fired in the civil service. Well, that is old. It's just that old. We have made, in our strategic plan that we have launched early this year, we have made accountability a key focus of the plan. It means accountability for ourselves, accountability for our teams, and accountability for how we deliver for the government. Our job is, as Mr. Bryan said, is to do our best to deliver for him. He has made promises to the people of the Cayman Islands, and it's our job to deliver. So we have to hold ourselves accountable for that. But we want to have a culture of accountability. Is there a very strong culture of accountability in the civil service now? I think there is a good culture, but it must get better. So that is what we are doing. I don't get on the radio and talk about the number of people that we have terminated or we have fired or we're separated from, because that is something that you want to brag about. Yes, it's changing somebody's life dramatically.
Yeah. Even though people believe that once you're in the civil service that you can't be fired, they can't get rid of you.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I'll just say this. So every time someone is separated from us, I get an email, and in the last month I got 3 emails. So fortunately for those people, they are no longer with the civil service. But accountability is alive and well. We just need to make sure that it is a priority for us and that we do it to the very best of our ability at all times. And I am confident that we will improve in that area. We've improved in so many areas. I don't know, Mr. Conn, if you remember when Mr. Ezra Miller was complaining about the state of our finances, and he said he was going to put all our CFOs in jail because they were not submitting their accounts on time and they were not of good quality. Well, he gave those some of those CFOs an award a couple of last time he was chairman of the thing for their performance. And now, regularly, every civil service entity who has had their accounts audited by the Auditor General has a clean opinion. That means that the public can be satisfied that and understand how their money is being spent. So again, I'm very, very proud of the achievements that we've made in that area. I just got a little update from the chief officer in POCS. She was reminding me that we have 137 unique position titles that are held exclusively or almost exclusively, 90% or higher by Caymanians in our civil service. 137. So, Mr. Connor, I would like to, you've heard all about all the things that we're doing.
Yes.
The question is it working? Are we getting great Caymanians to come and work with us? Are they getting promoted? Are they being rewarded for their performance? I want to introduce Janae Ramaran, my Employee of the Year. And I just would like her to talk to us about her journey in the service. I am very proud of her. She represents us exceptionally well, and we are very proud of her and her achievements. And I will turn the mic over to her.
Okay, Ms. Rambert, good morning.
Good
Welcome
morning.
to For the Record.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Conner and Mr. Manderson. So my journey within the service started 9 years ago. I know I don't look that old, but I started off as an intern. And I was placed in the Ministry of Education working in the finance unit. But at the time, my sights were set on going off to university to become a pharmacist. So at the time, it was just more so just a means to an end, trying to learn what government is about and getting the experience, of course. And through that 3-month internship, wheels started turning. I'm like, am I making the right decision? Because I really like what I do here. And my manager at the time, she would call me like every week into her office. She goes, you need to change. Don't do the chemistry degree. I said, Miss, you would never find me in finance, ever. If I only knew now what I then, right? So through the internship program, I still went off to do my degree in chemistry, but as Mr. Manderson mentioned earlier, with a young lady who is actually, or was an intern, I was welcomed back each summer, each Christmas, and I had the opportunity to not only do the same thing when I came, I was passed around the team, so I got exposure to what it really meant to work in finance, in government, the full scope. And in my last year of my degree, I said, okay, let me just come to terms with it. I really love what I do, right? So in turn, once I graduated, I had graciously was welcomed back to the Ministry of Education, and they took me in. COVID came, and people were seeking employment. I was seeking full-time employment at the time, and was then welcomed into portfolio of the civil service as an accounts officer. So I was able to move from intern to accounts officer. I've been there now for 4 years, and within 2 years into my role as accounts officer, I was then able to get promoted through a competitive process, of course, to financial administrator, which I am now. But during that 2 years as financial administrator, I've also had the opportunity to act as deputy chief financial officer. So all in all, just that one door that was opened for me through the Ministry of Education 9 years ago has allowed me to just really see what my passion is and what I really like to do, which of course is the finances, but being able to see how the work that we do, sometimes it might just feel like it's repetitive, you're doing the same thing over and over. But when you think about what we're doing holistically as the government, it's to serve. And I had this really great interaction from a younger age, and I think that kind of played a part in why I wanted to stay in the public service. I was traveling to Miami for a regular shopping trip, and I went in to the border control officer. So, regular stuff, how long are you going to be here, what are you doing here, da, 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 da. So I'm like, I'm just here for the weekend shopping. whatever. And so he asked, what do you do? So I said, I work for the Ministry of Education. I'm in the finance department. And he just started making a big deal. He's like, wow, you work in government. You're only 18 years old. That's such a big deal. Da, 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 da. And at the time, I was like, sir, you're kind of holding me up between me and my shopping, right? So I was just being pleasant with him. But as the years go by, I was even thinking about it up to yesterday. Working for government is a big deal. And I feel sometimes it may be lost in our community as such. But just having that in the back of my mind all the time, like, this is a big deal. That's why I show up every day, ready to do the work, ready to serve, because we should be happy to do so. It's work that's bigger than ourselves, and I was just doing my job and gracefully, and I'm so lucky that there were people who saw me that and thought I was worthy of this recognition. Yeah, and of course, Mrs. Gloria McField-Nixon, my nominators, Miss Hetty-Ann Parchment, Tara Bush, and ultimately DG, who decided I should be Employee of the Month and thereby Employee of the Year. But for me, it's just me doing my job because this is what I love to do.
Great. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we want to hear from you in terms of, what your future aspirations are and whether or not you plan on pursuing additional, educational opportunities as well. Folks, don't change that dial. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
You deserve a unique vacation this year, one with easy non-stop.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers, a compounding story.
I don't think people realize how pain creeps into your life. It has a way of robbing your strength. I really don't like taking prescription medications over it.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. They understand.
When it comes to compounding medication, it's personal. So whenever there's a problem with some medication or treatments that's not working right, then a physician will call me and say, hey, they're having bad side effects from this medication.
Compounding pain cream changed the game. Made special for me significant pain relief in the form of a cream. That is a